on News Talk.
The Football Show on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Jeff and Heskey.
I'm prepared to do anything I can to play for my country again.
Do it then. What about your start to the game?
It wasn't bad, was it?
Why should an honest answer be a mistake?
How can a modern day manager not have a mobile phone?
Why should he?
Tuesday evening in the Premier League continues. Johnny Ward alongside me. So we're going to take the half-time from Anfield to kick things off. Shane Pennington's watched the first 45 minutes there.
It's Liverpool 4, Everton 2 at the break. Liverpool flying out the blocks with Divock Origi slotted home a Mane pass, and then it was 2-0 when Mane played in Shaqiri, who slotted past Pickford after 16 minutes. Everton then pulled one back through Michael Keane before Liverpool made it 3-1 when a long ball from Lovren over the top found Origi, who lobbed Pickford. Then it was 4-1 on 44 minutes. Mane slotting home from an Alexander-Arnold pass from the left. And right on half-time, Everton back in it once again when a cross from the left from Bernard was headed home by Richarlison. At half-time, it's Liverpool 4, Everton 2.
So that's twice now Everton have looked completely out of this game, and they have just put half a claw back in it. Richarlison on the stroke of half-time making it 4-2. But Liverpool,
I think they'll be okay.
Comfortable. Yeah. The Shaqiri goal on 17 minutes was a thing of beauty.
Just Mane's first half, just like the Trent Alexander's pass, obviously. Shaqiri's goal at the end of it, but the ball for Mane, the ball for the first goal. Origi's had a very good first half. Again, you've got to be worried from a Liverpool perspective, conceding 2 goals home to Everton in the first half, but Richie McCormick was saying inside, is Mane the best forward in the world at the moment, and he didn't do anything to dispel that notion in the first half. He was absolutely outstanding.
It was the most Trent Alexander-Arnold ball.
He's such he's not a right back, but at the same time, he's redefining the position, and he's making it such an important position in an attacking sense.
Yeah. He must have drilled it about, I would say, 45 yards just above head height.
Yeah, and it was like, it couldn't have been a more Trent Alexander, the way he arrowed it, like kind of with an outside swerve. And Origi's been very good as well. He's been kind of influential in a lot of the attacks. His finishing's been excellent. Klopp knew what he was doing, I think, unless they draw 4-4, in which case he's mad.
Well, it's one of those games where if things had backfired, he'd have big questions to answer, given that Salah was on the bench, Firmino was on the bench, Jordan Henderson was on the bench. He went with Wijnaldum and Milner and Lallana across midfield, and then Shaqiri, Mane and Origi, if you're just tuning in. But now that it works, as they head into this very busy period, it's just a thing of beauty.
Well, anyone who would give out about him not playing Salah, is not watching football, because Salah, at the very least, when you're another striker, you deserve a chance, because Salah's been so poor, and I would have had Origi in for games well before this, because I think a very good Origi is better than a poor Salah, as much as Salah is a better player. But there's also the upside of bringing the likes of Shaqiri in and Lallana and Origi, that they do want to prove themselves. And they're playing against an Everton team. They're going to fancy their chances, and this will do wonders for Origi and Shaqiri's confidence. It's been a very frustrating season for Shaqiri.
Yeah. In a team which creates lots of chances, Shaqiri's a very, very nice player.
Absolutely, and most of Liverpool's games are fairly straightforward. They create chances, they win, and
surprised he hasn't played more. I'm actually surprised we've had so much of the front three.
Yeah, he's been very loyal to them at a time when Mane's obviously had an outstanding season. Salah's been 2 or 3 out of 10, I'd say, by his standards. He's been miles off it.
It's more than tiredness, isn't it? His ankle seems to be busted.
Like, we go back to Salah. I was saying last season, I didn't think Salah was playing well for a lot of last season. In the big games, his influence was minimal, but he's barely had a break. I mean, Salah went into last season without a break because he was in action in the World Cup. This off-season, he didn't really have much of a break either. And now he's carrying an injury, and I think his pace looks to be a little bit gone as well. So I've definitely sympathy for Salah, because I think we expect footballers just to be able to perform despite, so especially some of the Latin American players. It's been said about Sanchez, as much as he was a flop at Man United, like he's gone years between playing for Chile and playing in the league, that he's had very little time off, and I think we sometimes forget that.
Well, the global calendar does not care much for the South American teams, that's for sure, or the Asian teams or the African teams. It is very Eurocentric. And if you are a player like Salah and you're trying to pirouette and turn and twist on a halfpenny, then your ankle being busted is chronic. Like a Michael Carrick type, a passer in midfield can get away without those sharp turns and twists.
Yeah.
More so than Salah.
It happens so fast for him. But Liverpool's like lead in the Premier League is it's one of the most baffling things ever, because Klopp will know Liverpool haven't really been at their best this season for a lot of it. But they've found a way how to win when they're not playing well. You look at the Champions League, I mean, they've played Napoli twice. Napoli are okay.
Napoli must be wondering what the big fuss about.
I know, because like both those games, Liverpool they didn't really deserve any more than the 1 point that they got from the two of them. They scored 1 goal, and Napoli they're okay, and you know Liverpool have looked kind of vulnerable enough in the European games, and just in the league between City not really being at it and Liverpool finding a way how to win, they've this unassailable lead, so it would seem.
The closing kind of 5, 6, 7 minutes, depending on which ground we're talking about, of the majority of this evening's games. So between Liverpool and Everton, it's half-time. It's 4-2 Liverpool. Chelsea, 85 minutes at Stamford Bridge, gone there against Aston Villa. Let's cross over and check in on things now. Guy Swindles, standing by.
Chelsea 2, Aston Villa 1. Chelsea have been utterly dominant in this second half, but have only got 1 goal to show for it. Mason Mount's volley. They've had plenty of other chances. Willian sets up Abrahams, who should have scored but clipped it wide. Willian himself has hit the post with a fabulous free kick, and they could rue the missed chances. Chelsea 2, Aston Villa 1.
Abraham and Mount with the goals. Abraham's 9th league goal of the season. It's ticking along very nicely.
Yeah, that's obviously a big game for Chelsea. Eriksen's come on and done quite well for Spurs since he's come on. Obviously, the stories in the last couple of days that they will cash out on him, that he's no real interest in staying, but there's been no lack of interest in him on the pitch, or spraying a lovely ball out to the right. Spurs don't deserve anything from this game, I have to say. I thought they'd be much better than this. Man United have been at it tonight, but Chelsea certainly will be badly looking to win that game. The race for sort of fourth place at the very least is still very hard to call, I think.
Yeah. Let's check in at Old Trafford then. 7 minutes to go here. Peter Smith is there.
United 2, Spurs 1, and Spurs keeper Paolo Gazzaniga has continued his impressive display, twice extending his considerable frame to repel long-range and goal-bad efforts from Daniel James. Jose Mourinho has been forced to tinker with his formation in a bid to try and find an equalising goal. Eriksen and Ndombele have been introduced from the bench in a bid to have Spurs' creativity in the final third. It's United 2, Spurs 1.
And what Mourinho said about Eriksen is he doesn't really want to play him because he wants to play the players who are going to stay. But then when needs most, he's always on the bench. Yeah, and I guess the thing for Spurs is what money they'll get for him, to bring in another player, what with him being out of contract at the end of the season. So anyone who wants to sign him, there's also the debate who wants Eriksen relative to maybe, he's had a pretty poor season. Is he quite as yearned for as he was at the start of the season? Probably not. No. It's funny because when you're not at it, you're not at it. Even looking at him for Denmark against Ireland in the Viva Stadium. That was a strange performance.
It was so out of sorts, and looked sluggish, just looked as if he'd... And I know, there were sections of the crowd having a go at him about personal stories and all that, and you just wonder, is he... Maybe it is affecting him. Maybe it's just mentally he's not fully there, and his performances for Spurs in theory shouldn't be translating to Denmark, but to me they seem to have. I don't know to what extent it came across on TV, but there were a couple of occasions at the game when there was a real break on, an opportunity for Denmark to break in Ireland, and he almost just checked back. And it seems that Damien Delaney was on commentary alongside Nathan, and we almost just looked at each other at the same time as if to say, that's odd that he checked back there. Now, maybe it's because they were at 0-0 and they didn't need to win the game, but it was still just an odd thing. On the rare occasion there's a break on. It was. I was at the 5-1 game as well. Very different players. Very different. When our gung-ho Cavalier Ireland came on top, but I don't know where he's going to go, because I think Mourinho loves to sign players, and he'll... I think that was Eriksen playing a truly awful ball, actually. Mourinho will want, even if they get 50 million or something for him. Yeah. But I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because we have only a few months until the off-season.
Luke Shaw is just about to come on for Manchester. He looks big again. He looks big again.
If Luke Shaw weren't a footballer, what weight would he be, you know?
He does just look like he's carrying too much weight. He's coming on now, 86 minutes on the clock. Lingard is going off.
Yeah.
So that's United 2-1 up anyway. We'll come back to their performance because they were good, and Miguel Delaney of the London Independent is at Old Trafford. He's going to take a call once we get into full time. But they've been good, United, really good this evening.
They have. They've been the better team from the get-go. Spurs got a goal sort of out of nothing, gave away a criminally bad penalty. And in fairness to Mourinho, he does have plenty of work to do with that defence. And Vertonghen left back is fish out of water stuff as well. As much as Ashley Young playing left back is, Vertonghen is clearly not a left back, and Manchester United have tried to target that.
2 quick updates, and then I want to get your thoughts on 3 Ireland and their decision not to renew sponsorship and the general air of gloom and doom ahead of the financial records being announced tomorrow, the accounts being publicised tomorrow. So Southampton against Norwich continues. Peter Hood's there.
Southampton 2, Norwich City 1. The substitutions are ringing around the ground as both managers try to keep and attain whatever they want respectively. Southampton still lead from those first half goals, but Pukki pulled that goal back, and when he gets the ball, Norwich threaten every time, but his service has been limited by a cumbersome midfield from Norwich City. It's Southampton 2, Norwich 1.
And then over to Wolves against West Ham. Alex Winter, there's been a goal.
It's Wolves 2, West Ham 0, and Wolves have sealed the points thanks to substitute Patrick Cutrone. They broke down the left-hand channel, the ball eventually falling to Cutrone at the top of the area, and his right foot strike rolled into the right-hand corner of the goal past West Ham's David Martin. Wolves 2, West Ham 0.
So that is where we are. We'll bring you full times in a few moments when the 7:30 games go full time. Yeah, they were 7:30 games. Liverpool, Everton 8:15. So 3 Ireland, the FAI's main sponsors, Johnny 3, they've decided not to renew their deal with the association. They released a statement today confirming the arrangement with the FAI will run out in July 2020. That was from their Chief Commercial Officer, Elaine Carey. She said, 3's been a supporter of Irish football for 10 years, €30 million invested in the game through our sponsorship. 3, they say, has made the decision not to renew. They go on to say, having reviewed our full sponsorship portfolio, we've decided to consolidate our sponsorship investment in the area of music. At 3, we are entirely focused on supporting the Irish men's team through what we hope will be an exciting and successful qualification for the Euros and on the go, and the Irish women's team and their qualification as well for UEFA Women's European Championship. We also wish the Irish teams at every level the very best in the future. The timing of this is just too much to be a coincidence on the eve of what everybody says will be a dreadful afternoon tomorrow for the association.
Yeah, you know, and you're thinking as well, like I've such high hopes for the Irish team of Stephen Kenny's era. I think it might backfire, but I think it could work out spectacularly well. And for 3 to be associated with these young up-and-coming players, you know, at a time when Obafemi was starting at the weekend, and he's like 4th in the pecking order for an Irish under-21 striker, which is staggering, really. Aaron Connolly started at the weekend. Afolabi's doing well. All these young players, Troy Parrott and so on and so forth. No, I mean, the timing, I don't know how bad this thing is going to be tomorrow. The indications are it's going to be very, very bad. It just shows when you have such a dysfunctional organisation how things can get this bad. And, you know, there was John Delaney spoke so convincingly about the debt being out by 2020, and now 2030 seems possibly avaricious. And
now there's reports of UEFA suggesting you might want to sell your stake in the Aviva Stadium, which would be to their eternal shame if that happens.
Yeah, by the sounds of it, you know, the IRFU aren't mad keen on that, and the very nature of the agreement in that kind of it's a 60-year type lease, I think, which wasn't really trumpeted as accordingly by the FAI up until now.
No, that was the first I heard. It's a 60-year lease.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, the reports today ahead of tomorrow are that FAI staff are braced for the worst. That phrase has been used in a few newspaper reports today, and there's talk of axing key programmes on top of job cuts and then potentially pay cuts. We don't know, but certainly some redundancies seem to be in the offing, and then the axing of key programmes at a time where the economy has been good, the team, you know, like even Keenan O'Neill, things didn't go brilliantly, but there were good attendances, there was money, there was TV money. Just that things have been mismanaged this badly is extraordinary. You were talking to 1 or 2 sources in the FAI?
Yeah, and I know Shane Ross has mentioned, and people have mixed opinions on Shane Ross in terms of he's kind of overseeing a bit of a messy situation here, and as much as, you know, FIFA and UEFA, their governance doesn't really allow for meddling by governments. At the same time, you can see why Sport Ireland you know, the loan from John Delaney in 2017 or whatever, that did contravene Sports Ireland's sort of agreement with the FAI. So you can kind of see why Ross is in place. I just, you know, I feel so sorry for the people in the FAI who probably for the last sort of 6 months have been ashamed to tell somebody, if you're asking what do you work at? Oh, I work in the FAI, you know, and it should be the pinnacle of someone's career in administration and in football. And we have some very good young coaches in the FAI, and I think Irish football in many ways is on the cusp of some very exciting times. I think the League of Ireland is on the up. I think our underage teams have been performing outstandingly well. We're still in with a chance of qualifying for the Euros, and we're utterly bankrupt off the pitch. And it's sad because, you know, clubs waiting on payments for doing up their grounds, be they League of Ireland clubs or your club next door, and, you know, have no part in this mess. And it's very, very sad. And, you know, I just feel an awful lot of sympathy for the people in the FAI that hadn't really any part in its demise.
And what is the situation with the League of Ireland and what they need from the FAI, or where they are with the FAI next year?
So this is the mad thing. The league didn't know what was going to happen next year, because there was obviously talk of an All-Ireland League, which would have necessitated an abridged season next season.
Yeah.
The All-Ireland League now, in the time frame anyway, doesn't look like it's going to happen. But obviously the FAI was overseeing the League of Ireland. The League of Ireland was moving away from that and kind of setting up a bit like NIFL in the Northern Irish Football League, in that you've kind of the clubs will run the league, and the FAI won't have quite the say it had anymore. Won't be overseeing it, and the FAI has done a bad job, I would argue. But I would imagine they're just waiting and seeing now what happens, because there's nobody. Paul Cook has come in who would be good for the League of Ireland. I think he's come in an interim role. I think the League of Ireland clubs will welcome that, but being honest, I've no idea what's going to happen, and clubs are already back in training this week, you know, and you know, the prize money level in the League of Ireland, Joe, is a scandal to my mind. And if for example Limerick have been deducted a load of points, if Limerick get a licence next season, which at the moment this club, I don't see why they would get a licence, you would need a replacement club to come in. What club in their right mind would join the League of Ireland at the moment? There are rumours about Cabinteely, I don't know what's going on there. Shamrock Rovers B might be coming in. What club would come into the League of Ireland with no financial incentive and the FAI looking like a complete basket case? You know, so it's depressing, and I'm looking at the League of Ireland signings made by clubs, and you know, Lee Grace staying at Shamrock Rovers, Dundalk making good signings, and I'm very excited about next season. Even the first division, the signings that have been made, lots of stuff that's very positive. Coming back from an FAI Cup final, which drew a good crowd, was a very engaging game. We've Jack Byrne, Graham Burke, all these good players in the league. I think it's a very exciting time, and at the same time, the FAI, which deemed it to be a difficult child, is in a horrendous shape. With we don't even know how bad it is.
No, tomorrow is going to be.
That's the sad thing.
Very interesting. Will they put someone forward to talk about it? Are they having a press conference? I presume they must be. They have to in light of this, but I don't know.
Yeah,
they're not just going to email this around, are they?
I honestly don't know, but it just goes to show, as much as the GAA, and you were kind of sighing heavily earlier on about the latest task force, whatever it's called, the
fixtures.
The fixtures calendar review task force. And the GAA could definitely enter the Guinness Book of Records for subcommittees with many letters, but the GAA is a democracy, and it bloody well works quite well compared to what the FAI had become.
Yeah, they're poles apart. So starting to go full times in a few of the games. We'll bring you reports in just a few moments' time, but it's gone full time at Old Trafford. Manchester United have beaten Spurs by 2-1. That is a massive sigh of relief for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. The last thing he needed at the moment was Jose Mourinho coming in and winning with Spurs. And when they went to shake hands there, I didn't want to interrupt you because you were in full flow.
Oh, yeah.
You were the voice of the people, Johnny. But they shook hands and Mourinho gave Solskjaer a alpha male tap on the cheek, a little tap on the face, and Solskjaer, understanding, I can't let you do this to me, ruffled Mourinho's hair.
Yeah.
A little rub on the head as he walked off.
Mourinho,
it's like politicians when they walk out on stage. It's very important in these debates.
Yeah.
The handshake's good.
Your body language and all that. I think
the strongest position to be in is on the, as the viewer looks at it, the left-hand side, because your handshake is over theirs. But if they do that, you've got to two-arm them.
Yeah,
these are the tricks of the trade, Johnny.
We saw this today in North Korea, the significance of Kim Jong-un on horseback with his good lady behind him. They're like, this is completely staged, you know, and all political stuff is staged. But in terms, like, Mourinho's political pantomime, and there's probably an element of the patronising about his thing with Solskjaer. But Man United, I watched the game because I had a bet on Spurs, and I called it wrong. Man United played like a team possessed, and they deserved to win by more. And I'm just like, where was this performance against Villa and Sheffield United? Because they were light years apart. But some of the players may have played with a little bit to prove they're like, we're going to show Mourinho up here.
Well, I think it probably helped as well. McTominay in a midfield position.
He was good today.
Helps protect the back four more than Fred and Pereira combination does.
Absolutely.
And then he went with pace. I mean, he put in Mason Greenwood, he put in Lingard. Mata played the last day. And suddenly if you've got Greenwood, if you've got Greenwood, Lingard, Rashford through the middle, and who was on the left-hand side? It wasn't Martial. I'll tell you now, 1 second.
They had both. James was playing left.
So that's even more speed.
And he is very quick. And
that front four.
Spurs, that Spurs back four is not the back four Mourinho will want if at the start of next season. Put it that way. And I just thought that in midfield they were well outplayed. So I think Mourinho will realise he's an awful lot to do, but it was a big win for Man United. I mean, I don't know where Man United are. I mean, that performance would suggest they have a good chance of finishing the top four, but every other performance this season wouldn't. It's like, I don't know.
It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, kind of a job for them at the moment. Full time there, 2-1 United. Chelsea have beaten Aston Villa by 2-1. Leicester, keep it going, keep the show on the road. They have beaten Watford by 2-0 this evening, Leicester. Maddison with a goal in the 90th minute and Vardy with a penalty on 55 minutes. So Leicester keep winning. That was at home to Watford this evening. Southampton have beaten Norwich 2-1. I'll check scores there.
Just got a text in there from
Bertrand. Yeah.
Derry City fan. I don't know if I should be positive or go follow provincial rugby when I listen to you. So that's from a Derry City fan.
As in he's so grimmed out by the current landscape, he might go and follow rugby instead.
Yeah, because I think in the League of Ireland now, and you look at like what Bows are doing and investment in Rovers, and Dundalk have a bit of cash, Pats of new owners. Pats of a new manager and an owner that's doing some good work there. Derry City have a bit of money behind them. The club is back, and there's so much to be positive about in the League of Ireland. And it's just unfortunate that there was such a poverty of belief from the top, because I firmly believe in the League of Ireland. If Brexit comes into play under the rules of FIFA at the moment, you can transfer a minor to another country. You can do it within the EU, but if Brexit comes into play, no minors can sign for English clubs. That's simple as that, as the rules are at the moment. So there would have to be a sort of an academy developed here. And what annoys me as well, Joe, is that the money that's invested in football in this country is very small, and we don't look at what if we had academies at clubs and we had proper systems that wouldn't necessitate players having to leave at 15 and 16 for years and years, which I don't think is ideal for any kid, really. And I think when we need lobbying of politicians, we're going to have a general election in the next few months. When we need lobbying of politicians to say the League of Ireland and Irish football is something that really deserves your backing, who's going to do that lobbying for us? They've enough to be doing, whoever they are.
A bit more going on.
So it's demoralising, really.
On that cheery note, 54 minutes on the clock. Liverpool 4-2 up on Everton. Miguel Delaney will join us hopefully from Old Trafford, and we'll go around the grounds to the reporters as well. Just 1 second.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Shearer and Owen. Grow your business with Gavin McLaughlin.
This week on the Grow Your Business podcast, Ted Webb, Managing Director of IBI Corporate Finance, and Colin Culleton, Chief Executive of TPI Group, join me as we examine the process of acquiring other companies. How do you identify a takeover target? How do you negotiate the best purchase price? And how do you integrate the new business into your existing company?
Grow Your Business from News Talk with Gavin McLaughlin. Thanks to Euronext Dublin.
Listen and subscribe to the podcast now at newstalk.com or on the News Talk app.
Our Skoda certified technicians eat nuts and bolts for breakfast. Young man, it's merely a metaphor. You don't literally have to eat the nuts and the bolts. If you're looking for a service that goes above and beyond, within reason, book your major service today, now with a set of complimentary windscreen wipers. To book, visit skodaservice.ie. No technicians were harmed in the making of this commercial.
Have you checked out the new Red Cow Moran Hotel? Wow, the sky really is the limit as we've added another 2 floors. The new superior bedrooms of this iconic hotel now boast their own winter gardens and panoramic views over the city. Red Cow Moran Hotel, transforming before your eyes. Visit redcowmoranhotel.com.
It's not too late to get Black Friday discounts at Harvey Norman. Get up to 30% off TVs, tablets from €59, up to 30% off ovens and hobs, and up to 30% off smartphones. And at Harvey Norman, we're matching all competitors' prices, so why shop anywhere else? But hurry, the Harvey Norman Black Friday sale must end soon. Don't miss out.
These are the sounds of the morning. These are the sounds of the night before. And these are the sounds of the morning after the night before. 10% of fatal alcohol-related crashes happen between 7 and 11 a.m. No matter how you might feel, the morning after is one of the most dangerous times to drive. Don't do it. From the Road Safety Authority.
Have a great evening with itsforwomen.ie. Don't live your life on hold. Get a quote now at itsforwomen.ie and see why we're trusted by over 130,000 women in Ireland.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
OK, let's go over to Old Trafford and hear from Peter Smith.
United 2, Spurs 1. There was no great pre-match reception for Jose Mourinho, whose mood was dimmed even further when Marcus Rashford fired in an early goal with a powerful angled drive. Dele Alli produced a Bergkamp Cantona-style piece of control to level before the break, but Rashford claimed his second of the night when he clinically dispatched a penalty after his run into the box had been impeded by Moussa Sissoko. United 2, Spurs 1.
Now next to Stamford Bridge, Chelsea had Aston Villa this evening. Guy Swindle's there.
Chelsea 2, Aston Villa 1. First half that was pretty level. Abrahams gave Chelsea the lead. His 11th Premier League goal of the season. Trezeguet equalised just before the break. But in the second half it was all Chelsea. But the only thing they had to show for it was a fine finish from Mason Mount in the 48th minute. After that they hit the post and missed a hatful of chances. And in fact Villa could have pitched a point at the end. Kepa's fine save denying them. Chelsea 2, Aston Villa 1.
Abraham, 11 league goals. That is impressive. Let's go to Leicester. They had to keep winning, and they did against Watford. Derek Clark.
Full-time, Leicester City 2, Watford 0. Jamie Vardy's 14th goal in as many home games, and a late James Maddison strike sees the Foxes return to second in the table. Vardy scored from the spot on 55 minutes after Adam Messina gave away a penalty for an arm in the face of Johnny Evans. The hosts dominated for large spells and were rewarded in stoppage time. James Maddison bustling his way through before firing past Foster. It's finished here, Leicester City 2, Watford 0.
Like the Vardy, I mean,
he's going to be the oldest Golden Boot winner in history of the Premier League.
The motivation of, you look at Vardy and you're like, he does look like a player at times that progresses up the levels. Like, he doesn't do amazing stuff, but like, talk about like a born goal scorer. Once he's in the box, you know, does he ever score from like 25 yards? But he's always pestering defenders. 14 goals in 14 home games. Brendan Rodgers, I know, like, we have the deluded Brendan Twitter account, and people will have a go at like some of the stuff he comes out with, but that's an amazing job. Like, Leicester weren't much shorter a price to win the league this year than they were under Ranieri. Like, nobody gave them a chance, and as much as Liverpool are kind of still a little bit clear, Leicester have been absolutely outstanding, and Vardy's he's just a role model for any striker who thinks that he mightn't be able, like Dele Alli, just the way he's climbed up the ranks.
Pre-match meals of espressos, double espressos, Red Bulls and omelettes. That's his pre-match meal.
I do love a double espresso. We had a meal last night at home, and I think it's like a normal thing to do after a meal to have a double espresso, but it was probably about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and the company were sort of saying, my company, as in the people that were with me, were like, you can't drink a double espresso.
Sleep.
But shout out to a big Juve fan, Marco in Terra Madre. which is a
Don't
great...
be trying to look for your free meals.
Great little, absolutely. I never even thought of that. But he drinks 8 double espressos a day, and he's a proper Italian, and he's always vibrant.
Yeah.
Always vibrant. That's probably not a good idea, though.
Miguel Delaney of the London Independent is at Old Trafford. Thanks for waiting patiently. Hello.
Hey, lads.
So, I mean, we didn't see all of this, but certainly the first half, there was a tempo about United that was much, much better than in recent times. And when you looked at the team sheet and saw Ashley Young in and McTominay in, and then the pace of that front four, it's not overly surprising that they've done okay tonight. What kind of measure of performance are we saying they put in?
It was the best I've seen them play for some time. Maybe since the Chelsea 4-0 here, which it was at. But actually, I think a bit better than that, a bit more cohesive overall. Well, I mean, this is the oddity with United, I have to say, and it's why I wouldn't really get too far ahead of ourselves with this result, in that we've seen the situation a fair bit, even under Mourinho, where the team has looked weathered and it's in a big game and they put in a response, which is often a sign of a team that's not fully there but has a point to prove. And also, ultimately, and this is true of both teams, actually, that it was a bit of a harem-scarum game, and ultimately a match between two teams who didn't really have that much of an idea about how to play, or their own idea of how to play, who were dependent on individual moments of brilliance. It's just that United's individuals looked that bit more fired up. I think that, I suppose, maybe the bigger question was this. I think I put this on Twitter and in my report, actually, for the Independent tonight. But was this a sign that the players love Solskjaer and want him to stay, or do they still have it in for Mourinho, or something in between?
I think that's a good point, yeah, because, I mean, where was the performances for Solskjaer in the last couple of games where they were absolutely insipid, but...
do those personnel changes not explain a lot? Like,
yeah.
Young is a major improvement. I mean, there's potential, obviously, in Williams, but Young is a big improvement in terms of just a bit of solidity. McTominay sitting in front of the back four helps a lot. And then Lingard, I don't know how he played, Miguel, but obviously he's got a lot more pace than Mata.
I think Miguel's I think he's been a little bit harsh in that. I think Man United sort of did have a game plan tonight. As much as it was probably a fairly straightforward game plan, it pretty much involved attacking Spurs at pace, and it pretty much won the game.
Isn't that the issue, though? It's a reactive game plan.
Yeah.
And this is the fundamental problem with United, that because they're one of the wealthiest clubs in the world, one of the biggest clubs in England, teams aren't going to play them in a way that suits that football, which is reactive football, which is about suddenly, like the goal game, which came from Lingard kind of winning a loose ball and Rashford lashing onto it. They're a team that needs to learn how to be on the front foot to impose a game. And that's something we don't see. And it's why I say they're kind of dependent on individual moments. So while this was, I think, an impressive performance in and of itself and an impressive win in the circumstances, the grand irony is, even though it's probably saved Solskjaer's job until the new year, I don't think it's necessarily the strongest argument to actually keep him around.
Yeah, in fairness, like you're on about being on the front foot, they don't have the midfielders really, Miguel. I think they're not able to impose themselves on cagey tactical games, which tonight wasn't, and I don't know where they go from there in that regard. But they do have Pogba obviously to come back, and I think
if he comes back,
it will be interesting. But at the moment, their midfield just doesn't. Their midfield is still just very functional at best.
Do you know? Sorry, Miguel, something to throw to you on the back of that. Then is I think Manchester United fans are almost at a weird stage with the team where this is obviously a higher class of debate, but for Ireland and any manager, Trapattoni onwards, it's like, well, do we have the players or is it the manager? I think United fans have now watched so many years of various United teams and a lot of these same players 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, and then a good result here and then a bad result there, and then new manager comes in and they play well for a time and then they revert to what they are. I'm not actually sure a lot of Man United fans know how good this team should be.
Yeah, I completely get that. That's absolutely true. And again, it's a bit of I know this is a cliche by now, but it's like a Liverpool in the 90s situation. And I take Johnny's point there and agree with it that they lack proper quality in the centre. And I think, and really, if Pogba's in that team, it makes them look very different on both the team sheet and also on the pitch, because he's essentially the only player who can play the sort of perceptive passes that is really required for Solskjaer's idealised fast football. Although then there are questions to ask whether Solskjaer should develop something that's a bit more adaptable. I mean, I think it's one of the fair criticisms of Solskjaer as well, that his football approach just seems a little bit basic, and he often describes broad characteristics like fast play intensity rather than actually anything actually kind of a definable style of play. But yeah, completely. I think that's why Pogba remains such a big issue. But then, of course, there are questions there as well, given that there's a lot of talk that Solskjaer's getting fed up with him and would be willing to sell him in January.
Right.
Yeah, that's not surprising. I mean, Pogba, to my mind, should have been gone. I thought he was a bit of he's been a bit of a very unsettling influence, I think, and his relationship with Mourinho was quite toxic. But just on Mourinho, Miguel, I thought he didn't emerge very well tonight, because tactically, if you were to look at that game in hindsight, you're thinking, how do we win that game? We probably sit back a bit deeper and take them on the break, but they were absolutely battered in midfield. Got a goal kind of out of nothing, really, and I don't know what the goal expectancy was, but they would have been well beaten in the game. And after 3 quick victories during his kind of reign, this was a massive reality check, I think, in terms of where they need to go.
Yeah, totally. And as I said at the top there, I mean, it was basically 2 teams dependent on individual football, and Spurs all the more. So, and in that, actually, it looked like Spurs really tonight looked like some of the kind of most tepid United teams at Old Trafford, fittingly enough. In that it was a bit of a chaotic defence, and I have heard he wants to basically upgrade every single member of the defence, bar Alderweireld. And also, as you say, a midfield that didn't really work. It was surprisingly persisted, but Winks into Sissoko for so long, especially since that's sort of a partnership that's really been done since last season. And it's interesting that he doesn't seem to fully trust Ndombele yet either. But yeah, and again, I mean, and this is a recurring issue in Mourinho's career now. In a football world where the top level is basically defined and set by teams that play highly coordinated, highly constructed attacking football, which is probably one of the hardest things in the game to really perfect now. Like, you hear a lot of players going to talk about how it's basically like they now have to learn off the sort of instructions under managers like Klopp and Guardiola that NFL quarterbacks have to do. It's getting that intricate. And Mourinho's approach comes from 10 years before that, which is almost a few light years in terms of the tactical development of the game. And I think that's going to be a recurring issue at Spurs as well, for all the kind of emotional impact he might have on this team.
I think it's already ominous if he wants to upgrade 3 of that back 4, and Daniel Levy is the man he's going to have to do that in conjunction with. My goodness.
Yeah.
Dele Alli looks to be having a good time if they're looking for positives.
Yeah, that's true. And as well, to be fair to Mourinho, that's very much a sign of his potential positive impact on the right sort of individual. In that, this has been something we discussed a lot in his career over the past few years. The modern player doesn't take to him, but some still do. I think Dele Alli is precisely that sort of character. And, I think very, very quickly Mourinho identified him as kind of a personal project in that way. The way he brought him up in press conferences, the way he talked about him, and the way he treated him privately. One of the first things he said to any of the Spurs players was that line, "Are you Dele or Dele's brother?" and then Dele, well, be Dele.
I do love, there's a lovely moment in the Liverpool game here where the ball is played down the line. Wijnaldum is basically defending it. He's won the battle with Keane. Keane is fouling him for the space of maybe 3 or 4 seconds, and he's just tugging at his jersey. Wijnaldum is on the ground. He looks at Keane as if to say, "What are you at?" And Keane just kind of puts his hands around him and say, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just a bit frustrated here." Wijnaldum then puts his hand around Keane, and they basically embrace and they get on and play. Lovely sporting play. And some of Liverpool's football here is, we're talking about where Spurs and Man United are at. This Liverpool team on paper is far from outstanding, but they're playing with the freedom and belief and confidence that's completely at odds with a set of players who probably have a lot to be disenfranchised about this season, that they just haven't been playing. And whatever Klopp does, he keeps them happy, and this performance has been an absolute joy to watch.
Yeah, it's a major fill-up given the team sheet. So, Miguel, I'm sure your report's probably already up on the London Independent website or getting there very quickly. Anything else you want to throw at us from the game that jumped out at you, given that you were kind of keeping half an eye on it?
One of the last things I saw was actually Solskjaer rather patronisingly patting Mourinho on the head as he went. I don't think there's actually too much love lost between them.
No.
There's been a few little side swipes. And I put it in my piece actually in the preview of this game that Solskjaer had kind of complained to senior figures of United that he had to listen to Mourinho criticising him on television, saying things are worse on television. So I think there's probably a bit of a personal vindication there as well.
Well, Mourinho patted him on the cheek, so he had to alpha male him back. So he went for the ruffle of the hair.
Going on,
You can't lose that fight. Listen, we'll let you go. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Cheers, lads. Thank you.
Cheers. Miguel Delaney there, who's on the line from Old Trafford. So that's a 2-1 win for United, which is no harm at all. Lads, I'll be amazed if Mourinho sticks with that useless effing paperweight Harry Winks. Too small, no goal threat, no physical threat, can't tackle, bad move.
Big news. Big news is in.
This is the FAI
thing
tomorrow?
It's actually all grand.
It's not that big a deal.
It's massive.
Is it?
they've moved it from tomorrow to Friday. So it's like tomorrow will be absolutely grand. And it's like if you're dealing with some sort of bad crap in your life, just put it off for another day. And then it's like, it'll be grand. And tomorrow's another day.
So they say, and it's an official statement, that they've moved the announcement of the 2018 accounts and the revised 2017 and restated 2016 accounts to Friday morning instead of tomorrow morning. And they say the board has taken this decision to facilitate the signing off of the accounts on Thursday and I think this is not a bad thing, and to have the presence of the entire board at a press conference on Friday.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Thursday's scheduled press conference will now be moved to noon on Friday.
Here's one for you, right, Joseph Molloy.
Careful.
So you mentioned Michael O'Leary earlier on, and such a shrewd guy and all that. Michael O'Leary, post 9/11, bought a hell of a lot of airlines because he's like, I'm getting them at a cut price at a time when people can be very stupid and they thought that they shouldn't fly as much now because of one bad day and horrendous day, but like obviously planes were probably never safer thereafter. Anyway, so O'Leary capitalised on that kind of herd mentality of stupidity, bought a load of planes. Is it a good time to now become the sponsor of the Irish football team? In light of this Troy Parrott, Aaron Connolly, all these players coming in, you're going to get it at a cut price. The FAI will be like, listen, we're happy to, oh yeah, come in, we'll make you tea, we'll make you coffee. Could be something to think about.
I feel like your question led the witness there, Johnny.
Case closed.
Yes, I think it is.
So who would who's going to come in?
Yeah,
could be interesting.
I don't think they'll be short of offers actually.
Yeah.
I know like the FAI brand is toxic right now, but the team, and for all the reasons you mentioned there, is still appetising and you still reach a lot of people, and there's lots you can do with the players who are still popular, and Stephen Kenny, all that. Yeah, no, I think they'll have I think anyway. I'm not an expert in these things, but I wouldn't think they should have any trouble. The economy's in decent state.
Economy's in great state, yeah.
Michael O'Leary, when he had his newsagent shop. Way way back.
I know this story.
It's such a classic on Christmas Day.
So Christmas Day, he opens it. I stand corrected on this, but I think it was somewhere on the North Circular Road around, what's that pub, Hanlon's, is it? For some reason I have that in my head. I've read the book, which was written by Alan Ruddock, the late Alan Ruddock. Fantastic book of Michael O'Leary. Yeah. It's one of these books somebody lent to me, and I've obviously lost it or whatever, but you know the way you lent a book and then you lend it to someone else unbeknownst to the guy.
Let's stay on track here, Johnny.
Anyway, so Michael O'Leary opens up his convenience shop on the corner on Christmas Day, and a load of people coming in want to buy batteries, so he sold them batteries at treble the normal price. And he went home. Apparently he went home, like, and it was described that he had so much money in his pocket, he's like, I think I've nailed this. But the one thing about O'Leary, Joe, and this should, like, it's all these sliding door moments, but for the obstinance of Tony Ryan, O'Leary told Tony Ryan, it's still in the same book, he said, Ryanair is a complete basket case, get rid of it, it's no chance. And Ryan was so stubborn, he said, no, I've invested loads of money, I'm persevering. So O'Leary's like, okay, but on the off chance this works out, I want 25% of your profits, more or less indefinitely. Look at him now.
Yeah, nicely done. So Liverpool 4-2 up, we'll take a break.
Off the ball on News Talk.
Little boxes on the hillside, little boxes made of ticky-tacky, little boxes on the hillside, little boxes all the same. There's a pink one and a green one and a blue one and a yellow one, and they're all made out of ticky-tacky and they all look just the same.
Newness and Duke, don't be just the same.
3, 2, 1, lift off!
What have you done with my OCT eye scanner? I'm supposed to be doing an eye scan with Mrs. Green.
We launched it, like you said.
I meant launch it to the public, not on a rocket. You know, by telling them how it takes a hospital-grade 3D image that could help detect eye conditions up to 4 years earlier.
Oh, sugar.
And that it's available at Specsavers.
And now also in outer space?
Introducing our most advanced eye exam with OCT scans. Search Specsavers OCT to find out more. Charge applies. OCT available at selected stores.
Last minute gift idea? The Press Up gift card can be enjoyed all year round in over 50 bars, restaurants, cinemas and hotels like the Devlin, Doolally, Sophie's, the Stella, Tomahawk, Elephant and Castle, the Grayson, Captain America's Family Restaurant, plus many more. Digital vouchers are now available online at pressup.ie or pick up a gift card in any Press Up venue.
Thinking of a new car for the new year? On Dundeal, it's never been easier, with Ireland's widest selection of cars from trusted dealerships. Whether it's warranties or monthly finance, we have every option available for you. Thinking of changing your car? Think Dundeal, Ireland's largest car showroom in the palm of your hand.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
OK, let's check in at Anfield. We have Shane Pennington there.
But it's Liverpool 4, Everton 2, but it's Everton who created the chances in the second half and really should be back in this game. First of all, it was Richarlison who headed straight to Adrian from Sigurdsson's corner, and then Tom Davis with a 20-yard effort, forcing a good save out of Liverpool's number 2 as well. Liverpool going forward haven't offered really that much in the second half, surprisingly, considering they scored 4 in the first. But from their point of view, it's job done from them as long as they keep it tight at the back. It's Liverpool 4, Everton 2.
Miguel had a bit of a pep in his step there, but imagine if you were doing a game at 8:15 trying to get that in pre-deadline as a journalist. It'd be an absolute nightmare.
I think it's late for fans, isn't it, as well?
It's late for fans, and, you know, like, God be it with the dying days of print or whatever, but, you know, so editors still have to edit a copy, and games being over at 10:05 is an absolute nightmare.
Yeah. 7:45 in the Champions League for me always just worked.
I love 7:45. I just can't knock it.
8 o'clock is just that bit too late.
When I was a kid and we started going to the odd NFL game in New York, I couldn't get over. So the game beyond at like 9 p.m. and we'd be coming out, there's like 12:15. I was like, how are people playing professional sport at midnight? But I don't know, it seemed normal to the Americans. Then again, the Americans, they're a different lot.
They really are, Johnny. That's very true.
You can carry a gun along the streets, you can buy cigarettes in the pharmacy, but you can't have a bet. You know, it's mad. Like it's a mad place.
How do they all bet? Like, I mean, the average person, how are they all betting?
It's, you know, like Mo and The Simpsons, where they're ringing up the local barman. It's not actually far removed from that. A lot of the money goes through, I think, like places like Aruba and all that. But it is now finally being legalised in various states, and that's why a lot of the bookmakers over here are trying to really tap into that market because it's so big.
Yeah,
and like obviously the betting on the NFL and basketball is big over there, but America is it's a myriad of contradictions.
Sure, listen. Now, a few other...
Is that for the rest of the 3 minutes we have left? Everton threatening a goal here. It'd be some crack if they got one.
Yeah, still 10 minutes to go. This is the other thing. We're off the air at 10. These games now go way past 10.
It'll be, you know, when they've the results in the paper, it's like Liverpool L, Everton L, because it was too late. And that will be in some of the papers tomorrow.
Wolves against West Ham is another game that has long finished at this stage. Let's hear from Alex Winter.
It's finished Wolves 2, West Ham 0. Leander Dendoncker with his first league goal of the season in the first half before Patrick Cutrone made the point save with 4 minutes remaining. First it was João Moutinho's corner that West Ham didn't deal with, allowing Dendoncker to poke home from close range. And then with time running down, a break up the left-hand channel saw the ball fall to Cutrone on top of the area, and he slid home with his right foot. Robert Snodgrass had West Ham's best chance, but he missed his kick when clean through on goal. It finished Wolves 2, West Ham 0.
I just have to mention this briefly. Trent Alexander-Arnold, just go home. Just go home. We've had enough of this nonsense. He's just done another obscene, past the watershed, X-rated. It wasn't him. It was actually Henderson. But it was an unbelievable pass. And Mane missed it. But what, Liverpool's football. It was such a Trent Alexander-Arnold pass, it actually wasn't him.
Jordan Henderson.
I think it was Henderson, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
so. Obviously Henderson's come on.
Henderson, come on.
For me, Mane's got a score there. It's like,
yeah, he knows it. It was a bad miss.
4-2, just a little bit edgy. They were 2-0 up against Brighton at the weekend. Around this time, Brighton scored middle interest.
Yes, Henderson came on for Lallana, so that was him. Finally then, St Mary's, Southampton against Norwich, Peter Hood.
Southampton 2, Norwich City 1. The home side achieved back-to-back wins for the first time in 250 days and move out of the bottom 3, courtesy of goals from Danny Ings and Ryan Bertrand in the first half. They dominated really throughout, but Pookie brought Norwich back into the game, and when he did, there was some late pressure which saw the Saints hang on a little at the end, but in the end it finished Southampton 2, Norwich 1.
There we are, good win for Southampton. So that is pretty much us done. You were about to say something there, were you?
No, just good to see Shane Long he's still hovering around the background there. We've positive strikers, so he's playing quite well. Obafemi on the bench. Lots of drama tonight, Joe. Lots of drama. We got through the hours.
Sure did.
We didn't have an awful lot of help tonight.
No, we were just faffing around most of it.
Next week we'll discuss America.
Earlier on, we asked you to identify mystery voice. It was.
It's not going to end well, you know.
Tough one.
Andy Moran. You're kidding me. I thought that was Paul Gascoigne earlier. Play that again.
It's not going to end well, you know.
Give it to me again.
It's not going to end well, you know.
I just thought that was Gaza. Can you hear that?
I can. Played under 14 Roscommon District League with Andy Moran.
Give us Gaza one more time there.
It's not going to end well, you know.
That's Paul Gascoigne.
It's Andy Moran.
I honestly, when
we have to wrap up and it's
Andy Moran, but it's actually Paul Gascoigne.
This show is not going to end well.
It's not going to end well, you know.
That is the most Gaza thing I've ever heard.
Andy Moran compared to Gaza.
On the face of it, I wouldn't have thought. Niall Murphy somehow knew that was Andy Moran, not Gaza, and he's won a pair of tickets to our roadshow in Galway next Wednesday. Niall, we'll see you there, good man. Offtheball.com/events if you want to come along for tickets. Only a very few left. OTB AM tomorrow 7:30, and we're back on the radio tomorrow at 7 in the evening. Tom Dunn is next.
Give my bull any outer space. He'll give you a move with good liquor ice. Rat-tat-tat.